Hello friends and welcome to my guide on how to play Spirit Breaker support. You can play him in the 4 or 5 role. It's pretty much the exact same build, but I recommend 5 only if you're feeling brave. It works better at higher MMRs where people know how to adjust to that and all that. You know, like the lower you go, people are going to flame you. Oh, that's not a support. Oh, it's bad, you know, and it is. It has its weaknesses that are going to struggle at lower MMRs. But if you want to play him 4, you are good to go no matter your MMR. He is very strong right now, so let me give you a quick build. And if you want to see more examples of this, check out my Twitch. When this video comes out, I will be playing this on stream all day, and hopefully one of those games are good, and we will upload them to YouTube if you can't make one of those streams. Your skill build should look something like this every game. You can adapt it a little bit, but you want to start with Greater Bash and max it first because Charge of Darkness and Nether Strike both work through Greater Bash, so the more value you have in this spell, the more value the other spells get. You will get more stun, which is great, and you will get more damage based on your movement speed, and so that's going to be your farming speed in the early and honestly mid to late game. When you charge through a bunch of creeps, you will bash all of them, and that's how you're going to farm quickly. You could take Charge of Darkness at level 1. This is typically done for first blood attempts because it is a guaranteed 1.2 second stun on your target. But keep in mind, you will do no damage, and if you charge through 5 heroes, you're only stunning your target because you don't have bash. This is why this passive is usually taken instead of Charge of Darkness. But once you're level 2, you do want a point in each, and now you're kind of online. Now you can play the lane, you can like bash someone, and then if you want to commit there, you can follow up with a charge to chain stun them and hopefully get another bash after that. That's kind of like your combo in the laning stage. When you get another point in bash, it's just going to be that much stronger. So when you enter the laning stage, the first level is typically pretty weak. Keep that in mind. We're playing for equilibrium to hit our at least level 2 and then level 3. And once we're at that point, you don't have to kill in your lane. You can roam to the other lanes, either through charging, teleporting, twin gating. You have a lot of options as Spirit Breaker, and you can get back to your lane because you have so many options, right? If you charge to the mid lane, you can teleport back. If you like twin gate it over, you could TB back if you needed to. You could charge back. You have all these options that other supports don't have. So keep in mind, you need to look at the other lanes, and that only works, once you have both of these abilities at least. But to be able to leave your lane safely, that's why you need that equilibrium. So it's like dual purpose. You want it for your levels, and then you want your offlaner to feel safe so that you are then free to roam, and you will come back to your own lane, but by being off the map, you will surprise them, and that all starts through equilibrium. From there, a point in Bulldoze is pretty safe if you want to do that. Sometimes you can skip it if you really don't need the status resistance. You will get more move speed from Charge of Darkness, and it doesn't cost you more mana compared to, Bulldoze, which is only 30 mana, not a lot, but you don't have a lot of intelligence. I said that already. So the less you have to use spells, the better. So sometimes you can get like a second point in Charge of Darkness for a very like aggro build where they don't have a lot of spells that you need to status resistance, and then pick up Bulldoze like either at level 8 or later at like level 10 after you've maxed out charge. But a lot of times, 1 point is pretty safe in most games. Then max Charge of Darkness for the lower cooldown, the greater move speed, the greater stun. This allows you to just roam faster because you're literally faster in your charge, and you're doing more damage with the greater bashes because it is movement speed based and the charge counts, and it unlocks your 550 movement speed limit. You can go beyond that. It's pretty easy to reach like 1,000 movement speed in a game once you get some items online. So the sooner this is maxed, the more we can get that online. Farming, ganking, everything. And then you're going to max Bulldoze after that. Of course, take your ult at any chance you get. The level 10 talent is often skipped till later because your abilities are all really good and the 10 talent is just like kind of okay. I've seen your pub games, so if you have like 5 physical damage carries on the enemy team, you can take the armor talent, and you can take it sooner if you feel you need it as well. Same with the night vision, but it is frequently pushed off. You get to 15, you take the Bulldoze cooldown. 16, you come back for the night vision talent. The reason for that is because your purpose isn't really to do physical damage. It's why we're not really taking this 40 damage talent either. We are looking to find the right targets, set up these team fights, and then just charge through bashing everyone through their like BKB, stuff like that. So the night vision helps you to find the correct targets, and then the Bulldoze cooldown means that you always have this available as you like go through the fight, you back out, you reset, you charge in again. Bulldoze is ready for you to keep you alive. Oh, and you can also use it to farm because it's lower cooldown. You can like activate Bulldoze and charge and like pretty much one-shot a creep wave from the bonus movement speed. For the 20 and 25 talent, Charge of Darkness bonus speed is typically the way to go. This allows you to play the bigger map more effectively. You can be like farming bottom, one-shotting creep waves with your extra movement speed, and then fight mid, charge there really quickly with this extra speed. The greater bash chance is kind of good when there's like a single target you care about and it's like, okay, this like BKB'd Huskar, I just gotta like try to bash him up as much as possible. Then you can take this talent, but you typically don't buy like a ton of attack speed. Your natural attack speed is not very good either. We're more about like repeated charges in a team fight and like playing the map, and that's why this left talent is better. And then for 25, also kind of connecting back to that idea of like, you know, farming quickly while splitting the map and then like rejoining the fight. This extra damage will allow you to continue to kill creeps faster as they level up throughout the game. The bulldoze damage, it looks okay. Honestly, I don't get to 25 that often, so I haven't seen these, but this one seems a little bit better. Usually, like you're fairly tanky by the time you're level 25, so I don't feel like 500 extra barrier is like as good as this one, but I mean, if survivability is your issue, then yeah, this is fine, and you'll still get the full stun value, you just won't get the extra magic damage. Items, we got the Tango, we got the Blood Grenade for when we commit to a fight. Feel free to buy more of these as the lane goes on and you're ganking a lot. Windlace is very helpful because we scale off of movement speed, and because I mentioned earlier, we're playing for equilibrium. That means we're doing a lot of like aggroing for our offlaner, we're creep dragging, or if we are trying to harass, we're a melee hero, we gotta close the distance before we can start hitting people. So Windlace will just help you with all of that. Iron Branches to round out the stats, and then to unblock or block camps, you do want Sentry Wards. If you're playing 5, you might buy an extra set of Tangos and another like a second Sentry as well, maybe instead of some of these Iron Branches. Boots and Wand are really good because we plan to roam a lot, so the boots will help us do that faster and more efficiently. The Wand, when we force these fights, everyone's casting spells, so we're going to get more charges, which will help us survive, but it'll also help cover your mana needs. You know, that you just need like a couple spells to come out in a fight, and then that covers your charge to move to the next fight and get more Wand charges over there. After that, Phase Boots are usually the best boots you can get on Spirit Breaker. I'd say like 95% or more games, you go Phase Boots. The reason for this is that you get the armor, so that once you're in the fight, you're tankier, you don't have the best agi gain, so armor is great. And then you can activate Phase while charging or just moving around, so that's more movement speed, which will help you get more damage from your charges and your bashes, and also just like enter and exit fights at will. Tranquils seem tempting if you're going Boots of Bearing, and you will occasionally see people do that. I think it's better when you are dealing with like Venomancer, Tinker, Zeus type heroes where you're taking a lot of random damage. Like, well, now I can't charge because I'm too low, I'm just going to die. So the Tranquil Boots help you stay topped up. But the issue is, like, once you charge in, the movement speed breaks and the health regen breaks, so now you're actually slower and you don't have, like, any HP regen going, and so, like, compared to Phase Boots, it's just, like, less impressive. Plus, if you have Boots plus a casual Windlace, Phase Boots is actually more value in terms of raw movement speed. If you're constantly using this off cooldown, it averages higher than the increased Tranquil movement speeds at, like, 65. After your Phase Boots, Shadowblade is the most common pickup because you can charge while invis, so you surprise the target. It allows you to cross the map without being noticed by wards unless they have like sentries down. Once you get there, you also have extra attack speed to try to like get more bashes. You can also ult out of invis, so like if you're not charging or it's already in cooldown, you can Shadowblade, scout it out, and then ult, and you just like pop out of invis already stunning them. There's nothing they can do. Drums are really good because we plan to gank with our team a lot, and it provides stats that we love and that our teammates will like. So we get more movement speed and attack speed for our bashes, and in the same way, like, hey, we're charging, we're killing this guy, we want our teammates to help us out. After that, if it is a good drums game, you can go ahead and get the Boots of Bearing. Don't worry about having two boots. It is, you know, a little bit of inefficiency there, but it's quite common because both are so good on him. So it's fine, don't sweat it. You don't have to get it though, you can get other things. If the enemy have a lot of spells that go like on the floor, like Underlord's Pit, Jakiro's Ice Path, things that stop your charge, that status resistance, you know, it'll reduce the time, but it still stopped the charge, then that's when you might need a BKB so that you can actually finish the charge in fights and get your job done. Otherwise, if you can help it, the status resistance is hopefully enough. Like, oh, I charged, they didn't have time to react because they have like slow stuns, things that have to like travel, that you get to finish your charge in time and then just pop the status resistance. The stuns hit, but they're like affected by it, then that's fine, you don't need the BKB. Aghanim's is good when there's like a single person with BKB that you really need to disrupt. This will allow you to target them, charge them, and then a low cooldown charge to keep charging them, but you can charge through them and bash them. So you can't target them while they're BKB'd without the Ags, but you can target something past them, charge through them, that'll still bash them. And for that reason, Octarine has become more popular as it's changed and been useful. The mana regen allows you to just keep charging For farm, it reduces all your cooldowns so that it's not just your charge, but I didn't have bulldoze, so I died. Now I got bulldoze, now I got charge, now I got my ultimate. Aghanims does reduce the charge time more than an Octarine, but Octarine just in general, all your abilities and items become lower cooldown, so it just feels a little better. This is a bit more popular than Ags right now. But you don't get that BKB targeting, so if you really need that for whatever reason, then you will need the Aghanims. The Yasha and Kaya allows you to scale really well because you get that movement speed, you get that attack speed, but you also get some spell amp, and your bashes are actually magic damage. So this pretty much allows you to one-shot creep waves throughout the game, and then when you get into team fights, you're doing a lot because you're attacking faster, you're bashing for more damage, all of that. So if you're looking to like up your damage, then this could be a good item. But if you just need to like do the stun and other people will do the damage, and that's when like Octarine is going to be better. Halberd to get more status resistance can be nice, and then the disarm if you need it. Evasion helps you be more survivable. Yules when you need to deal with like you need a dispel for whatever reason, or you want another way to cancel channels. If charge and your ult and bash are not enough, here's another one. Besides that, like auras are fine, like pipe can be good. You're free to flex, Solar Crest, things like that. Neutrals, any of the movement speed ones are solid. In the early game, mana regen, so you can charge for farming and ganking more. And then throughout the game, and especially as the game goes later, survivability is really good because you will be in the fights up close. You're literally charging in. So they're going to focus you. Anything that helps you stay alive, such as Cloak of Flames or something like Elven Tunic with that evasion, and you get that movement speed. These are all really nice. Some tips and tricks for Spirit Breaker. Your ult has a 500 buffer cast range, which is different from most abilities, which are 250. What that really means is that they can walk out of your initial cast range and you'll still bash them, and they can walk up to 500 range further than your cast range. If they get beyond that, your ult will stop going. So for example, he 4 staffs out, 1200 range in total away from me, then my ult stopped. It doesn't go on cooldown though, which is pretty nice. Deep wards are really good for Spirit Breaker because like any ganking hero, you can find your target, you can smoke with your team, and you can go kill them. But also, if they are low while jungling, you can actually possibly just solo kill them. You can charge them with your Shadow Blade, you find them out here, and then once you start charging, oops, I messed that up. Once you start charging, you don't lose vision of them. So as they finish this camp, they move on to the next camp. You still know where they are, your team knows where they are, so as they're meeting to connect you like from this lane, the deep ward has allowed you to like find them initially, and now your charge continues that. That also works if they go invis, by the way. You can't see them, but you see their silhouette and you know where they're moving. So if you are against invis heroes, highly recommend you carry Dust as Spirit Breaker. Now, if you're charging out of the fountain, move to the back of the fountain and then charge. This way you start regenerating mana sooner, as soon as you start casting that charge, and you lose your fountain buff, after you leave the fountain, but you're pretty much full on mana at that point. If you are at the edge of the fountain when you start your charge, then you'll lose the fountain buff sooner, and you'll typically still be missing some mana by the end of it. This is not so much anymore because I'm now a couple levels. I have some slightly better mana regen, but especially in the early game, like if you TP home to the fountain at your like level 2 and you like charge back out from here, you're often missing like 60 mana or something. So move to the back of the fountain and then charge out. When enemy heroes are killing you and you're trying to get away, consider charging to other parts of the map. So for example, look bottom and charge here. This will bash the people next to you, and hopefully in that time you are immediately charging away. Rather than like charge a target like who's hitting you and then try to run away, they might still be able to chase you down. This is also why deep wards are extra useful, just in case no creeps are showing, no enemy heroes are showing that you want to like charge to right here. You might be able to see a camp somewhere on the map and then quickly get out of there. In fights and when you're farming, think about what you're charging through to get extra value. So for example, I'm farming this camp and I want to move to the next one. I'm going to charge this camp because my charge will finish off this camp and then get me to the next one and also charge that camp. So I'm getting extra value through one charge. Same in a team fight, right? If this is my target, maybe I have to charge that target, but maybe there's other heroes over here and I'm standing right here, then I can charge through everyone and stun everyone in that fight. Don't be afraid to teleport and then charge. A lot of times I'll see a Spirit Breaker like playing in the top lane. Oh, there's a fight bottom, let me charge there. It's gonna take you like 30 seconds to get to that fight, and the fight is probably done at that point. So if you really need to help, TP here is going to take you 3 seconds, and then you can charge right after it. Boom, you're in the fight in like 5, 7 seconds, whatever. I don't know. And plus, like if you were top, oh, I TP down here, that's okay. We got the twin gate. This is why this is so good for Spirit Breaker. I TP, I charge, I twin gate. I have so many options to go back, to like go between side lanes, go to the mid lane. Highly recommend ganking the mid lane and try to approach from weird angles. Like say you were the Radiant, don't just like charge straight down mid at that mid hero. It does work sometimes, but it might be better to like make your way back here and then charge them this way. It's going to catch them off guard. Their camera's probably looking at something like this, and then you like suddenly pop out and you stun them. So it's more effective, it surprises them more, and oftentimes they'll have like wards to like scout you coming from like side through the river. Like, oh, this is a 4 Spirit Breaker, I know he's coming from here, I put my ward like on this side so I see him coming, but you surprise him by like coming through the back. The mid, very good to gank in general, but also it's where people are most likely to tilt out, so you get extra value. They get angry. I'm being camped by this Spirit Breaker. Why aren't my supports doing anything? It's a very easy way to win the game as Spirit Breaker. Charge may look like it's going on cooldown, but when you actually connect or stop your charge, it resets that, so you can't like charge from fountain, connect, and then like immediately have another charge. If you start charging and then issue a move command or a stop command, you will stop the charge and it will go on cooldown. So make sure you don't accidentally do that. But it's also, you know, a good intended behavior if you are like in the fountain, you want to charge the enemy mid just to get on the map, but you don't actually want to like charge them into the tier 2 or something, right? Then just stop your charge, back off. You can, however, use most items and bulldoze without canceling charge. So I highly recommend that, especially the BKB if we don't want it canceled, right? As you get close to the fight, maybe pop that BKB. You could Shadow Blade potentially earlier too, so that you're invis as you go. And if you want, you can pop Phase Boots and Bulldoze at the very end to get that bonus damage. You can also cast them earlier to get more movement speed to complete the charge faster. I recommend that with the Phase Boots because they're so low cooldown, especially as you charge from like mid to, you know, a side lane. You have enough time to Phase Boots first and then Phase Boots again at the end. Probably save Bulldoze for the end so that you have the status resistance as you connect into the fight. So when they use the spells on you, you know, you get that benefit. And then the others you can either use like in the charge or after the charge. That's up to you. It depends on the situation. But yeah, you can use pretty much all of these without stopping the charge. You don't usually have to do this because you're usually so fast. You just like run the couriers down, but you can actually cast your ult on a courier. So if you're about to lose them in like the trees, feel free to do that. Level 1 ult, 70 seconds, not that big of a deal though. Usually better on a kill on a hero rather than a courier. But in the late game, it's like 30 seconds. If you get Octarine, even lower. Just throw that shit out, you know, guys. Any gank, just feel free to use it. It's very low cooldown. Draft-wise, for your lane partner, you want ideally someone strong and who can be left alone. That is best because you are not good at babysitting. You're kind of a weak laner in that regard. All you do is provide stuns and some bashes by chance. So if they can bring all the damage or any extra stuns and slows so that you have more time to possibly bash more, then that is good. And then because we want to then go roam a lot, they need to be okay on their own. If they need to be babysat constantly, you are not the right support to do that. Active heroes of all kind are nice to have on your team because your cooldowns are all very low, so the more that you can just go lane to lane to lane, that's best. Heavy farmers doesn't feel very good, but eventually you kind of fill in the role of initiator for them, but it's just going to be very boring up to that point. On the enemy team, anyone who can cancel your charge easily is very annoying. So like we said, Underlord's one of the worst, Jakiro is pretty bad, Glimpse and Kinetic Field actually. Kinetic Field's funny, it didn't stop your charge, but you just like will stop moving for a while. Slows affect your charge, that can be very awkward. Ice Wall, any kind of like slow that gets applied to you, you will continue charging, but it's a very slow charge. So it's a little awkward, but it's usually manageable through the status resistance of Bulldoze, the slows I mean. The stuns that prevent your charge, those are sad, and status resistance doesn't really help you in that regard. Any hero who has a way to dodge your charge is also pretty good. So like Puck or like Storm Spirit or Ember who can like Sleight of Fist you and disappear from the world. Those heroes are pretty annoying to play against. At the same time, it's kind of nice to be a Spirit Breaker because you have so much stun. So if you have anyone else who can set up on them, you can then provide the chain stun to finish off the kill. So it's not like for sure the worst matchup, but it's a little annoying compared to, you know, just heroes without escapes. That is the easiest for you. You're very good against invis heroes because you start the charge and you know exactly where they are and you will bring the detection to pop once you get there. Natural Yules builders are pretty annoying for you. Yules ignores your status resistance and cancels your charge and purges the status resistance, so that's a very annoying item. Fortunately, not very popular right now. And then any other global heroes on your team are very nice because you can't do things on your own, but say you have a Nature's Prophet on your team or a Zeus or a Spectre, you can find that target with a deep ward, you charge there, and then they join in once you get there. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. Like I said, if you want to see live examples of this, check out my stream and hopefully a YouTube video later on for anyone who can't make that. Thank you. See ya.